When you think of big migrations, you might think of places like Africa, but actually one of the world's largest migrations happens right down the road from our home in Colorado. And so today we're headed to Nebraska to see the Sandhill crane migration. Every year between late February and early April, about 500,000 cranes pass through the Platte River Valley in central Nebraska.
So we're starting our trip here in Kearney, Nebraska, which considers itself the Sandhill crane capital of the world, which you should be able to see a sign right behind us.
We arrived in town around 6 o'clock, and so the best times to see cranes are either in the evening around sunset and in the morning around sunrise, and so we just headed straight out to one of the public viewing platforms in town, which is the Plouts viewing platform at the Audubon Center and Roe Sanctuary.
Yeah, the platform's pretty big, but the parking lot is not so big.
Oddly small.
Yeah, we got probably there was one more spot, but we got second to last spot, I would say.
And I think it's about sunset is going to be at 7:45, and it's about 6:20 right now. So we just got done with our first visit to view the cranes.
You're just standing out on the platform as the sun goes down and the sky just fills up with cranes. And ironically, or I don't know if ironic's the right word, but just as the cranes are peaking, that's when it got dark.
Yeah, they start, at first you sort of like, are they coming? Because we were there, an hour and a half early before sunset. And we're like, are they coming? And then there's some in the sky, and then right around sunset, the sky is just full of cranes, and then they just keep coming until you really can't see them anymore. So, yeah. But it is impressive, and then the sound that they make, like the calls are, there's just so many of them, and the air's just full of that, and I think that's maybe my favorite part.
And that you hear all over town, even as we went back to our hotel here in Kearney, like. You can't see them because it's dark, but you can hear them.
Yep, they're out there. So, and the platform itself, there were more people that came after we got there. We had said we got like the last space, but there was definitely a lot of parking, people parking along the roads, and the platforms never got full though. It was a Tuesday night.
Yeah. There's two platforms, and basically tonight only one was good for viewing, so one got completely empty once everyone realized that.
Yeah, everybody split up between the two platforms, and then after a while, we split up too, and after a while I was like, there's no geese over here. Or sorry, no cranes. Yes. There are no cranes over here, and so I was like, I'm going to the other one. And it was the one that had the sunset view, and by the time it was getting dark, everyone was on that platform.
Yeah, and that's the platform that kind of parallels the road.
Another night, I imagine it could be different, but that's what it was like tonight.
That was our experience, yeah. And it might be different in the morning, because the cranes are still coming in.
Right.
So the river by the other platform could be full of cranes by morning.
Who knows?
Who knows? And I don't think we're going to find out.
Nope, we're going to a different place in the morning. So because of that, I think we're going to organize some stuff, and it's been a long day. We're going to organize some stuff and get ready to get up early and go see the cranes in a different spot.
All right. I should get to bed.
Yep.
So it's 6:30 in the morning, and we have headed out to the hike bike bridge, which is just south of Kearney.
Another place that you can see the cranes, and it might be a little earlier than we need to be here. I'm not really sure. Sunrise is about, I think, 7:36, and it's almost 6:30. It's still dark, but I didn't want to miss anything. I tend to show up early to things so that we don't miss anything. So here we are. Daryl was a good sport. We're all up and here, and we're not going to miss anything because you still can't see anything right now. But let's go.
Yeah.
So we're walking along the trail on the way in, and it is still really dark, but there are big groups of cranes taking off all the time, and you can hear them like flying straight overhead. You can see them, but there's no way we could get a shot for you. It's pretty amazing. What you should be hearing here, if our GoPro hadn't failed us, is that this experience was amazing. For a while before sunrise, groups of cranes were taking off here and there until finally it's like they all decide it's really time to go, and the river just erupts with cranes. It's really an impressive sight, and the experience of being right there surrounded by so many of these gorgeous, huge birds is kind of magical. At this point, the cranes have pretty much all cleared out, and we are headed back to the car. So we're still walking on the way back to the car. We actually chose a different place to park. The main one is at Fort Kearney State Park Recreation Area. And we opted to park on sort of the other end of the hike bike trail over just on the north side of I-80 and to walk from there. It was a little longer than we thought, but it was a really nice walk. I say it's about a mile. So we're still on our way back. It turns out there's another lot in sort of the intermediate area that would have been perfect. So it would have been about half the distance to walk, but you're still on sort of the lesser used side of the bridge where it was a little less crowded. There weren't a ton of people anywhere, but this was definitely the direction to come from to avoid a lot of people. So we're gonna try and figure out where that lot was on a map when we get back, and we'll show you.
So there's basically 3 ways to see the cranes. You see them in the morning at sunrise, you see them in the evening at sunset. And in between that, you drive around all the farm fields and look for them. Hopefully that's where they gather and you find them and you see them doing their little mating dances and stuff. So that's what we're doing now, is out hunting for cranes. So we're checking out the blind at the Roe Sanctuary, which is one of the places where you can book evening and morning tours.
Yeah, and you can come out here and see, the cranes when they're coming in the evening or taking off in the morning. Unfortunately, we were not quick enough to get one of those booked for our trip.
Yeah, the blind is really nice, and it's probably the most well-known, so they seem to fill up fast.
Yeah.
And we were a bit indecisive.
Yeah, we were waiting to sort of see what the weather was going to look like for our trip and things like that. And we waited too long.
And because we didn't get that, we found another blind in North Platte, which is about an hour and a half west of here. And so tomorrow morning we're going to see how good that is.
So we're getting ready to do one more crane thing. We're headed out to meet up with our guides for our blind tour. We're meeting them at 5:30. So it's an early one again. Yesterday it was a gorgeous 70 degrees outside, and this morning we woke up to some snow and sleet.
Yeah, it went from sunny and warm to dark and cold pretty quick. So hopefully it's not too rough, and most importantly, hopefully we see some cranes.
They congregate together here in these large numbers as they pass through this narrow stretch of Nebraska. It's not all of Nebraska, it's just this narrow stretch that's like with the Sandhill. They figure about 80% of the total crane population on the planet will pass through this area of Nebraska right now.
So we're back from our blind tour, and it was good. We saw cranes. It was a little darker than I was hoping, I think partly because the weather, so we really don't have much footage to show because the cranes that were there did fly early and it was still dark.
Yeah, the weather was a huge factor. A snowstorm rolled in last night, so it was windy and cold, and I think it was almost foggy.
Yeah, it could definitely, it got foggy before the sun came up, and the sun didn't actually, I mean, it came up, obviously, it just got gradually brighter. There was no sunrise this morning. As far as the blind, I did like that it was enclosed, so the fact that it's super windy this morning, we were a little more protected than I sort of expected maybe it would be. There was even a little heater in there, so waiting the hour before anything happened wasn't too horrible. So it's a good experience, but a little disappointing. I think we didn't see as much as I was hoping, and we couldn't really bring you any video. It's really hard to compare to what we saw in Kearney yesterday morning because the weather is completely different. My sense is that there's less cranes up here than there were down in Kearney, which is probably why it's the Sandhill crane capital of the world. So I would recommend, I think what we experienced down there was better, and I would recommend Kearney if you want to see cranes, because we saw so many cranes.
Yeah, I think our experience in Kearney on our own was better than paying to go on a blind tour in North Platte.
Yeah.
I mean, I know weather's a factor.
Yeah, there are other factors for sure.
The tour itself was great, like the tour guide.
We learned a lot, and that was nice. And we did see cranes. So if this were our experience, it would be good. But since we are comparing to our experience in Kearney, we would choose that if we were choosing one.
For sure.